You're listening to the Femtrepreneur Show, and this is episode 44. In today's episode, we are talking about what is passive income and talking about whether or not we think courses really are passive income or if they're not. Hey guys, it's Mariah.
And I'm Megan. And like Mariah said, we are talking about passive income today, which is definitely a controversial topic. So I'm really excited to dig in. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and let you know we do have a brand new freebie for you for this episode. It's called the Passive Income Systems and Tools Guide, where we're going to share all of the software systems and tools we use for passive income in our business. And you'll be able to get that as well as read the blog post that accompanies this episode over at thefemshow.com/44.
Definitely.
Can't believe we're on episode 44 already.
I know.
That means it's almost been a year.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
That's insane. Okay. Well,
right? One a week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we're like batching these. So it's like, doesn't feel that long, but it's going to be that long when these come out. So what's funny is that I actually, right before we're recording this, I did a podcast interview for a different podcast, the Creative Empire podcast. They were so nice. They were the best interviewers. And they asked me, they were like, do you really believe in passive income? They were like, do you really think that it's real? Like, do you would you consider these things passive income in your business? And it's such a good question. And we really took some time to clarify, what is passive income? Because there's so many misconceptions about it. So many people, it's like totally a buzzword that people love to say and love to sell you the idea on. But the reality is that in order to create passive income, you have to work so hard up front. We'll talk a little bit about what is passive income, and then we're going to answer the question of whether online courses really can even be considered passive income or not, and what the alternative is. So we'll get into all that. It's going to be good.
So let's kick it off with what is passive income. So how would you define passive income?
To me, passive income is it doesn't start out as passive income. Maybe that's like the definition is it doesn't start out as passive income. Passive income is something that you have to build up to over time. And it starts out with a lot of hard work. So in order to create this like passive income product that then you need to apply a passive income system to the product. In order to do those two things, you're going to have to do some work. Okay. Passive income doesn't just happen overnight. It's something that you work up to and that you have to be willing to do this sort of front loading where you do a lot of work up front and then you get residual income down the line, but it doesn't happen immediately. So you might spend 2 months creating this product. You might then spend another 3 months creating the systems and tweaking the systems to sell the product, whether that's an automated webinar or a free email course with a funnel attached to it that sells your course every day, or whether it's that you have 100 affiliates that are driving traffic and they're doing their own limited time promotions for your product and you're not even promoting it. There's so many ways that you need to set up like the passive promotion and the passive product, which is something that I was kind of going to give an example of, is that in some of these cases, it could be that a piece of the puzzle is passive, but the entire system might not be. So in terms of like a passive income product, a lot of people talk about an ebook, right? Like the fact is that with an ebook, the delivery or the fulfillment of that product is passive, right? Someone buys it and they can just download it directly from the system, that whether it's Gumroad or DPD or whatever, Samcart even, they can buy it and then it immediately gets delivered to them. Well, that part of it is passive. But the other question is like, is the promotion passive, right? Or are you having to go out there every single week and promote your buns off to get people to buy it? So there's kind of two pieces of the puzzle. There's the promotion and the marketing and the delivery of the product itself.
And really quick before we go any further, for someone who's never even heard the phrase passive income, just in case that's you and you're listening, the term passive income that gets floated around, usually you think of money that just comes in from this product and that you don't have to do anything. The word passive is, hands off basically. So the phrase passive income that you may have heard or not heard of before, a lot of times people think just means like, oh, I didn't have to do any work and money is just flowing in. So what Mariah is really clarifying for us is that it may be that way eventually, but in order to create the product, you have to do work to create what you're selling. Then you have to do the systems to make it an automated process so that you're not actively doing it. And then the question of even the promotion being automated or not. So hopefully that clarifies for anyone listening that maybe isn't even familiar with the term at all.
And we're talking about passive income from specifically like digital type products. Some people talk about passive income in terms of like owning real estate, right? Or some people talk about passive income from like, oh, I have an investment that I get dividends from, or stock in a company or something like that. So there are different kinds of passive income, but we specifically are focusing on passive income that you're making, because to me, a lot of those other things are pretty much out of your control. So this is passive income from digital products and those systems and automations that all work together to make this a reality. But there's definitely lots of different ways to have like create this passive income. If you're doing it online, then you're probably creating this product yourself. But I mean, you know, this is a little bit of a tangent, but one thing that I would say too is that I was just doing this podcast interview and they asked me like, well, what are the income streams that you have that are truly passive versus the ones that really aren't? And as we're going to talk about in a second, I was saying, well, my online courses, because we run them like as live sessions, we do them in like these semesters kind of, those aren't really passive because we're doing group coaching calls and stuff like that. But one of the things that is really truly passive is like commissions that I get on a recurring basis from like software that I've recommended. And I had to do a lot of work to build up an audience and then promote the software to them to be able to get these recurring commissions. But now that is one of the things that's like truly passive. But that's just an example.
Yeah. So some other examples of like a passive income product, Mariah, you said ebooks is a common one. Templates is one I have done a lot of and found success. Again, you work to set it up, but now it's up and running and I'm just passively making money on templates I'm selling. And then just digital products, whether that's like just a product or a course, anything like that.
Yeah, something downloadable or that people can access pretty easily online. You don't have to do any work to deliver it.
Yeah. So now that we've kind of talked about what passive income is, what it's not, what is the answer to your question on are online courses really passive income?
So I think they can be in certain situations, but not always. And I would say the majority of them, for most of the most successful people I know, they aren't. And we can talk about that. We can talk about, like, I even think that, you know, I'm just getting into all my ideas about passive income right now. I think that some people choose a level of passive income and they're like, I would rather this be really passive and not make as much money than if I run it really actively, and did these big open close launches and did all these promotions and ran it as a live course. Those people are going to make more money, but there are some people who we know that are like, well, I'd rather make a little less and just have it be less of a big deal.
Yeah, because the lifestyle associated with both of those are very different. Actively
Definitely.
launching an open close product versus, you know, an automated system that has a passive product. You can also combine them, obviously. You can have certain pieces of your income stream be passive and other parts be active.
Definitely. You could have a self-study version of your course that's set up on in a passive funnel or in some sort of automated way. And it doesn't have a community that you're active in every day. And it doesn't have group calls that people can go to. And you have a self-study sort of DIY version of your course. But if you do have a course that you run live, like we do a couple times a year, we open and close the launches, and then we have a very active community that we're all participating in every single day. That is not passive. We have live group calls every 2 weeks. Those are obviously very active, and those require us to be there and do the work continually. It's not like we just set it and forget it. Definitely not. No. And that's how we run these courses. So to me, That is not passive income. That is what I would call leveraged income. So yes,
I like that.
I created the product once and it is selling over and over again. And I did create that asset once, but the act of promoting it is definitely the opposite of passive. And the act of running those classes live, because I want to be super involved and I like doing all live coaching calls and all the community and everything, it's leveraged, but it's not passive. So I would argue that if you're doing launches like that and you have that kind of course where you do have a community or group coaching calls, it's not passive income.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, so what would a passive course look like?
Right. So if you wanted to have an online course that you just knew it had to be totally passive and that was the only way, you're going to be able to run it, and you don't want to do launches and you don't want to do like live calls or anything like that, you can definitely create a smaller course. Now, this isn't going to be something you can charge like $1,500 for if you don't have any like live component or any access to you or anything like that. Most of the time. You could create a more of a passive income course that is running automatically. This would mean that you don't have a community. This would mean that you don't have like an active community that you're involved in every day. It would mean that you don't do live calls or coaching calls or group office hours or anything like that. And it could just be something, in terms of the way this is set up, it could be something where someone buys it or they go through your free email course, they buy it, and then they just get instant access to log in, and that's it. That's like the end of the interaction. I mean, they go through the course, but they're not like getting support from you. And then the other way could be doing an email course that's paid, that is being delivered automatically. So it's up to you how you want to run your course, what kind of support people need in order to be successful. If like you have a passive income course and you don't offer a community, you don't offer any support or live calls or anything like that as part of your program, and maybe people don't get as good results, you want to look at that. So it's really up to you, but there are definitely ways to make an online course passive. But I would say if you're launching it, if you're promoting it in any way, it's not truly passive income. It is definitely leveraged though.
Yeah, I do think it can be. I've seen this a lot recently where like you can buy the program at any time and it includes the support. So the course creator in that sense might feel like it's mostly passive because the cart's open and they're not like launching it. But they are doing that like monthly call, or they have a Facebook group. And so that's kind of more of the example of like a part of the piece. Part of it is passive, but the whole thing isn't truly passive, which is fine. Like, I don't think passive income is this like everything has to be 100% passive income for it to be the best. Like,
you would be so bored if your whole life was passive income.
What are you going to do?
Trust me, you would hate it.
That combination, or choosing not to do passive, I think that's totally fine. And you should decide, maybe a program lends itself to being great as a passive product, and maybe another program would really not, your students wouldn't be as successful if it was totally passive. So
definitely,
you always want to keep that stuff in mind.
Yes. I've definitely done some classes that were like really inexpensive. They're like $97. They take like an hour to do and implement. And I don't need an ongoing community or coaching calls in order to be successful with that. Yeah. So it really depends on your course.
Definitely.
So we have, if you're wondering, I know this gets a lot of questions started. The next couple of episodes are all about passive income. We're going to give you examples of passive income, the mistakes you have to watch out for. A lot of different podcast episodes coming up are going to be about this topic and really breaking it all down, as well as the next couple of blog posts. So keep an eye out for that. But if you're starting to wonder, how does this all come together? What are the systems? How do they all connect? Like, how do you automate these types of systems, both for delivering your products and promoting them? You're going to want to check out our passive income systems and tools guide, which is in the show notes to this episode.
Yep. So you can go to thefemshow.com/44. You'll see the fully fleshed out blog post of this with all the links to everything we mentioned, including that passive income guide that Mariah just mentioned. So you definitely want to head over there. And if you want to discuss this episode with us and our amazing community of online entrepreneurs, make sure to join our free Facebook group at thefemshow.com/community.
And if you like this episode, you can subscribe to the Femtrepreneur Show on iTunes, and you can leave us a rating and a review because we appreciate it so, so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment below so that we can see what you think about this episode. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you have a question that you want us to answer for you, just go to thefemshow.com and submit your questions so we can give you a shout out on the show.